Yeah, look at that. Hello and welcome back, and today's video is going to be all about, well, why I took these off my rig and spent a week working on them to, well, make them work just how they worked before. Seems a bit silly, doesn't it? Well, for those of you who don't know the history of this, I'd better tell you. About a year ago, these were standard Fanatec Clubsport version 2s, and they suddenly started not really working properly. The electronics in them sort of died a bit. It was all sort of working. You'd get yourself into races and you'd be driving along full throttle, and all of a sudden the electronics in it sort of said, well, you're not at full throttle anymore, you're at half throttle. And that got rather annoying after a few races, and yeah, it wasn't good. So anyway, there's a video about that in the top corner. Go and have a check out of it if you want to see what the history is of it and how the first refit went. Anyway, this is about refit number 2, and yeah, so I'll get the old brackets out that held the potentiometers on for the clutch and the accelerator, and this one's the clutch, and it's yeah, look at that. Just look at how much wobble's in that. The clutch had started to not work that well, and you can see why. I mean, it just wasn't doing the job properly. These, I mean, they'd been on 6 months, and considering they were put on in an afternoon and just sort of shoved on, they've not done so bad. So they had to be ripped off before the pedals broke completely, and yeah, so I got myself a new tool. And this tool was a 3D printer, and this is the final result. Got a nice little bracket here to hold the potentiometers on, and yeah, there we go, and believe that doesn't give an awful lot of movement on the clutch, but it's enough. We managed to sort it out with the software, the LeoBodnar electronics that are in here. You can adjust the gain that's being used on here, and we adjusted it, so it's actually, it might not be moving very far along the potentiometer, but it's far enough for use. Anyway, yeah, so I spent the last week getting like all of these 2, 3, 4. That was the first set of holders. I ended up having to make the holder a lot taller because first I decided that these short ones on the top like this that go on here, that go on here like this, there we go, and there's a little bolt that goes through the middle there just to nip it on. So that ended up being too short and it just wouldn't push down. There was a case that I needed to create a bit of a hollow here because this was that was catching on the rose joints there, and it's all sorts of little niggly problems. I mean, you can see how many different things I've gone through. Things like print orientation, so that these fell off when you nip them up too tight if you printed them in the wrong direction. All sorts of little issues that you end up learning, but we got there in the end, and I've got these files. If anybody else wants to have a go at this, I think I'll make these files available somewhere. Probably the best place to find out is on the Discord server. There's a link below to it, so if you want to have a look and see and maybe do this yourself, yeah, I'll stick those files on the Discord server. Anyway, under here is the electronic. These are the 2 LeoBodnar boards that I put on. This one is a 3-wire to 4-wire load cell converter, which does an excellent job and lets you just use the original load cell that's in there. And then that goes into here, and this is the board that does all the control of the electronics. So there's these 2 bits here go straight to the potentiometers for the accelerator and the clutch, and that's obviously going into there for the load cell. And then you've just got a standard USB, just like it always was. So you've got this bit of plastic just holding it in where the old board was. doing a lovely job. Seems to be really nice. Bit of hot glue on there just to stop it moving, because you know what it's like with pedals, you can get a bit excited with them. Other bits that I decided to sort out, these pedals were starting to get a bit worn, so yeah, decided to give them a brushed aluminium look with some wet and dry, some WD-40 and one of those scouring pads, and I don't think they've come out too bad. Most of the scratches have disappeared. There was a big patch on here where my foot rests to press it all the time, and that's gone. That looks a lot nicer. The other thing I wanted to do, you see here, this always went on if you drop the throttle, which you probably shouldn't do. I mean, it's bad driving, but still, if you did, you ended up with metal clanking against metal, and it was quite loud. So I've stuck myself a rubber strip down here, just some old roofing rubber, and that hopefully will quieten it off somewhat. So yeah, this is refit number 2, and it's a lot tidier than it was before. Wires are pretty much out the way, sort of tied up. These look like they're going to last quite a while. They're really solid things. They look really good. They're not twisting or moving anywhere. So yeah, I'm quite hopeful that these will last a bit of time, and maybe someone can have a go themselves if they really need to. I mean, it was a very cheap fix for these. I mean, these things, I mean, they're getting on a bit now. It's no wonder the electronics die in them from Fanatec. Things don't last forever. They're far too good to chuck in the skip. I mean, the big solid pedals, they should last forever. A refit of the electronics, and yeah, we're good to go again. Best thing is, of course, I mean, the thing was, these hall sensor boards that were on the side here, you just can't get them anymore. So yeah, the easiest thing to do is put a cheap potentiometer on. I mean, it's going to die eventually, but last ones lasted at least 6 months and they didn't die. So for a 50p potentiometer, it's an easy thing to change, and well, it was like a 30 quid and a 16 quid board. Yeah, it's a good way to sort these pedals out. If they're broken, you can do it. So anyway, if you've got any comments about it, stick them down below. If you've liked the video, please leave a like. If you've really liked it, consider subscribing, and bye for now.